Peter Drucker said famously that you always need to look at your non-customers because they're the largest percentage of your audience. And what it means when I say non-customers is like you want to focus on the market as a whole, your entire audience. Because what I see happen all too regularly and to the detriment of organizations, arts organizations specifically here, is you try to squeeze every last nickel and dime, every last engagement and interaction out of the people who are already there. And that every year, that gets to be fewer and fewer people. And what all of us need to do, we all need to do this because my work touches sports and it definitely does them. It touches Broadway, it touches the arts, it touches all these sectors. Is you need to be growing the people you're talking to because there's natural attrition. You want there to be natural attrition because you don't want to keep serving the same people over and over again because that's likely a sign that your organization's stagnant. But you need to broaden your reach, right? And that's why the earlier thing where I was talking about the long and short of it is so very important because if you don't do some kind of long-term brand building, it'll be impossible to touch new audiences. Highlight what you offer. Highlight the ways that you can move people, right? Because, how you can add value. Because, I know from the work I've done over the years, people are going to see arts for many different reasons, right? Sometimes it's like tradition. Sometimes it's a family, right? Sometimes it's a form of nostalgia. There are business reasons, right? People take people to entertain clients. It could be part of the arts curriculum and education. There's any number of reasons. And so you need to understand that because you can highlight those through your brand building and you can grow the potential audience that you can reach. Unfortunately, though, in too many cases, people would go, let's say for easy math, because who wants to do math? You have an audience of 100,000 people, right? And then if you're losing, and we'll say this is year zero, and then you have 5% every year. So you lose 5,000 people that first year, right? So then if you lose another 5%, you lost 4,700 or so. So now you're at just over 90,000. So you've lost almost 10% of your audience in 2 years. So without focusing on those people who aren't your customers today, in a couple of years, you're going to face what like the orchestras and some of these arts organizations are dealing now where they've lost 25, 30% of their audience. And so you have to replenish it. And you do that by focusing on people, not just by hoping they'll show up. You have to be proactive, right? Which again, research, talking to people, understanding what they value, focus on brand building and making those emotional connections so that like you can begin to capture people and drive people into your organizations. It's because it's always got to be a long term.
100%. Come on, man. Number 5, discounts are for dummies.
Oh, discounts are for dummies is, God, so glad I came up with that saying about almost 10 years ago now, because it has taken me to every continent except for Antarctica. It has been, the original article has been translated into 7 or 8 languages. Now I've lost track of Mandarin, English, Spanish, German, Russian, all kinds of Portuguese. I lost track. It's amazing. All I did was when I said discounts are for dummies, it was a direct relationship to work I did as a young professional in nightclubs. And what I found was in the mid 90s when I was opening discos, the real discos around the country, one time one of the managers of the club was like, "You need to raise our check average by 25 cents per person." So it's like people would $13, $13.25. And what we did was came up with this question, and it said, "What gin would you prefer?" Right? And so everybody I found had a preference for the kind of gin they wanted to drink. Nobody saw themselves as a gin drinker, right? Which now you're going, "Dave, what does this have to do with discounts for dummies?" They get there. So what you find is that people are telling themselves a story, right? And that story is like going, "Well, I'm a young professional, maybe going to meet somebody I can go on a date with, I'm following my friends, like I'm going to celebrate this promotion." Perception. So when you go back to the discounts, Discounts are for dummies because it does the exact opposite. It tears all that away. It says, I'm a commodity. I don't believe in the value I'm offering you. It steals your profit, right? My professor, one of my marketing professors, a guy called Mark Ritson, who taught at the London School of Economics, MIT, Melbourne School of Business. He taught me that for every 1% you discount, you can lose up to 40% of your profit. That's 1%. You lose 40% of your profit. Now, that's an extreme example, and I use it because it tells a story. What I've seen over the course of my career, and it's been backed up by research at Harvard Business School, is that for every 1% you discount, you do lose 10 to 11%, which is the inverse of similar research that shows for every 1% you can raise your price, you gain 10 or 11% in profitability. So discounts are for dummies because it creates a lot of these negative impacts for you. So you lose brand equity, you undermine your brand associations, you steal profitability. The challenge for everybody is, and this happens in the arts and in sports and anything with a ticket all the time. It's like set these prices up here with no relation to the value that people perceived or anything that people might think. And then we discount or we try to paper the house, right? Because it's going to work. But no, it doesn't, right? And the danger really becomes, just like we were talking about earlier, is like the first time you press that discount button, it works okay, right? You get a little bit of bounce. And you have to keep doing it because you've taught your audience a lesson, which is like there'll always be a better deal. So you can't discount because discounts are for dummies.
So what advice would you give an arts organization who it just went out and said all tickets are $11?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And they got this 2,400 or 4,300 tickets sold in that announcement. Fantastic. What are they going to see 6 months, a year from now?
I guess I would really need more information on it. Like, so why are they selling the tickets at $11, right? Is 4,300 seats, is that good or bad for them, right? Like, what were they hoping to achieve by this promotion?
I think the thought is if we can get them in the door once, they'll come back. So
okay, so that's okay. This is great. I won't name names here, but anybody who's listening to this that's in sports tickets will know exactly who I'm talking about, because there are some morons that are out there. Like, that's their sales pitch. Their entire pitch is that we are going to get people in the door and then we're going to raise prices afterwards because they're going to decide that this is such an amazing experience that I'm going to be able to raise the price no matter what. People will just come back. And it is stupid because it's wrong, right? It's just simply wrong. It may work the next time. And if it does, it will be the first time that I've seen it in the many, many years I've been doing. What you can do is it is always much, much, much more difficult to raise a price than it is to lower a price. It is also incumbent that you don't discount. If you need to reset a price because you overshot your price, then you just reset the price. So let's give you an example, and I'll get back to the reason this doesn't work in a second. So let's say you do some research. You say $25 seems like a reasonable price for these tickets. And then you go and you say, well, $25 is maybe a little off. You really probably should be about at 20. Don't do the 25% discount, 20% discount, or whatever it would be. 20%, which would be get you back to that. Just reset the damn price to $20. And there's a couple reasons why, right? It allows you, it shows that you did a process, right? The process is good internally, right? It allows you the opportunity to communicate price, and it allows you to go back into the market, and talk to your customers and highlight all those positive things again. You can say, like, you can even make the reset price a strong part of this thing, whole new block of seats for $20, right? You can fluff it up all over, or you say 20% off and it just goes, well, they must not be selling very many tickets. The thing must not be very good. So anyway, back to why, this $11 ticket is at 4,300. We're going to get you in the door and it's not going to work. It doesn't work. It's because, number one, you've set a false impression of what the value of your product is. That's the big thing, right? You taught people that, well, this is a great experience, but it's at $10. Well, then all of a sudden when they're making a decision the next time and the real price is $20, then they're going, well, I don't know if it's worth $20. And it could just be, if it charged you $20 at the start, it could be worth the $20. But now their frame of reference is wrong. And controlling that frame of reference is the real key to setting the right price. So the way I try to teach people is through the 3 P's of pricing, which is what's the process you're following, and the tool I tell people to use. I mean, there's all kinds of things like conjoint studies and like really fancy ways of doing it. There's it's called the Van Westendorp pricing model. It's 4 questions. You can do it. I would just say use more data rather than less, right? As opposed to like when we're doing research where you can extrapolate things pretty quickly. You can plot it out. It'll give you a big hole in the middle. You can kind of get an idea where your pricing should be. But you want to have a process in place. You don't want to just pull it out of thin air, which is where most people come up. Or they go, oh, it takes us this much to put on the show, right? And these many things are going on, but called the cost of goods and services, which is another bad way to kind of fix your price because nobody cares, right? Nobody cares about how much it costs to put on the show. They just care about how much they value. So you want to have a process. The process should help you understand what people value and what they would think the value of that is in a monetary form. Then you have the price yourself, right? Most people apologize about their price. They kind of like meekly step in the thing. It's like, oh, this ticket's going to be $100. I'm so sorry. No, go loud and proud, please. And then you have the promotion part, right? Because most of the people, again, that goes along with that meekness of like being afraid that they have to charge $100 for something. They don't want to promote it, right? But let's think about it. I did some research. It was a movie, right? You go to the movies now, like you and your husband, you and your wife, your partner go to the movies, and it might cost you $60 or $70 to go to a movie, right? Because by the time you get a popcorn and a large soda, you pay for some parking, you get your ticket at like an IMAX, you're like $50 a person. You might not even enjoy that much, so like, don't be afraid, but the movies never apologize for how much they're charging you. So why should an arts organization? Don't do it. Embrace it and run with it. So that promote it. So have a process. Don't be afraid of the price. Set the right, I won't say this one here, but I have a workshop that I would do from time to time. It's called Set the Right Effing Price. But it's set the right price and then promote it. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it.
Love it. That's great. So that's
in my wheelhouse. The thing is my wheelhouse.
No, I'm glad I brought it up because I see that happen so often. And I have organizations ask or say to me, we can't figure out how to get audiences to come. Mm-hmm. So we adjust our price. We've done buy one, get one, all seats $10.
Of dry demand.
Yeah.
Because if people don't want it, it doesn't matter if it's free.
Oh, correct. Or if you want it bad enough, you're going to fly to Vienna and see Taylor Swift because I couldn't get a ticket in the U.S. So let's just make a summer trip out of it.
Yes.
And price isn't an issue, right?
Right.
So I agree. We've got to get over this whole pricing.
We talked about going to flying to London to go see Pearl Jam. I mean, it's like, it doesn't matter. I'll go.
Right. Right.
The price is not an object of that.
Because primarily, the experience you're going to get. That's why I think we need to focus more on what experience your audience is going to have rather than focusing on the ticket price and just saying, come out and see so-and-so this weekend. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Yeah, we can go down this for a long time.
Oh, let's go on. This is a whole days of the conversation. Yes,
absolutely.
Everything is in there.
Completely.